women don't need to make the journey. In the whole mythological tradition, the woman is already there. All she has to do is to realize that she is the place that people are trying to get to. Today, we're going to talk about the heroine's journey. And we are going to do it by sharing with you my own experience with the heroine's journey. Why? Because we are all wanting meaning. We all want a heroic life. But we end up stuck into different places. Burnout, bore out, shame, guilt, many different patterns. Why? Because that's the way we expand our soul. Let me tell you about the man who wrote the quote that I read at the beginning. His name was Joseph Campbell. He's a man that I deeply respect, a man full of imagination who went to university and said, hey, can you admit me? I want to study mythology, read all the books and find a pattern. And university didn't want him. So he took all his books and went into a cabin and read them all. He read all the mythological books, the Egyptian mythology, the Aztec mythology, the Greek and the Roman, and he just read them all and he found a pattern. And this pattern, he called it the hero's journey. And it was amazing because really, if you compare every single movie there is in the world, Star Wars, Harry Potter, any movie, any story, you will find the heroic journey. What's interesting is of a man. So of course there was a woman who asked him, hey, what about women? What about women? And he gave this answer. Women do not need to make the journey because they are the destination that everybody is wanting to go to. Who? And it happens to be that the woman was Maureen Murdoch. And she was a trained psychologist. She knew a lot, and she was a woman. She knew more of womanhood than all he could imagine Joseph Campbell with all his good intentions. So she went and did her own research. And she came up with her own pattern, inspired by him, but with all her feminine knowledge. And, you know, what is very different from the hero's journey to the heroine's journey is that for centuries, we have been living in a patriarchal construct in which being the man, the hero, the king is being the boss, and being the queen, the heroine, the girl boss is associated with being the she-wolf, the witch, and many other horrible names that we have been giving women with power. So what is power? What is meaning? And what is the role of women in life? It's a big conversation. So what are the traps of power as well? So I'm going to give you my latest understanding of this because you see, I am 53. I know nothing. When I'll be 80, I will know better. But when I was 20 or 30, I thought very differently. You know, when I was young, let's say 18, and I was deciding what to do with my life, I thought that I didn't want to be like my mother. Absolutely not. Dependent on a man. A woman should be independent, especially financially, especially emotionally. My parents got divorced. He was the one who was a very traditional family. He was providing very well. We were well off. My mother got beautiful dresses all the time on the money that my father will bring. And after the divorce, there was no money. And I saw it. And I said, I don't want that. I don't want that for myself. Also, see, she was in shambles emotionally. He left me. So I didn't want to be like her. I wanted to be, the power woman who could pay everything she wanted and didn't need a man. Many women are there. I can tell you, I don't think that way anymore, because that brought me to a rabbit hole that was quite painful. Of course, the beginning was fantastic. The beginning was fantastic. That was the season that Maureen calls it the separation of the feminine. So I separated from my mother. I said, I don't like you. And then I started to identify with the masculine and gathering allies. And identifying with the masculine, I can tell you, I absolutely did it. I cut my hair really short. I started doing weightlifting. I was hanging out just with men. My friends were, all these ripped men. I was in the world of bodybuilding, all different friends with the big muscles. I was friends also with engineers. I went to study engineering, so I had bodybuilder friends, men. I had engineer friends, men. I almost didn't have girlfriends. So I went into the world, and of course, these friends show me how to get jobs. And I ascended in the corporate ladder just like crazy, really quickly. I was finding the boon of success. I finished my master in information technology. I learned my English. I got to offer a scholarship to come to study to Europe. I studied my MBA in Rotterdam. I kept growing, I went and I founded a company with 2 professors here in Europe. Can you imagine? And all men were helping me. It was really amazing. I had no girlfriends. I had just male friends. If there was a woman around, I will really, I will be really scared of the women who were really beautiful. The women who will get a baby, the women who will get married. That was not me. I was the work, CV, money. I was totally concentrated of being that man for myself. Can you imagine what happened to me? Everything that goes up has to go down. At one moment, I just couldn't explain it to myself what I was doing. I saw practices in business that you must have seen yourself. I can tell you that not everything was wrong, but there was plenty of wrong. I saw wonderful men. I can tell you, my last manager, he was a delight to work with. He was this man who was so straight and so honest. But mixed with that, there were people who were not that straight and honest. And I started to see, what am I doing with my life? The only thing that I have is my job. I have this beautiful car. I have this beautiful apartment. I cannot buy more champagne. I cannot buy any other dress. How many dresses can I wear? The emptiness started being visible in me. One day I decided that I didn't need a health insurance. Why for? If I died, nobody will miss me. I didn't have a boyfriend because, of course, men were bad. I didn't have a cat. I didn't have plants. Every plant I had, I would kill it. I was really deeply disconnected from the true feminine, the feminine that gives life, that honors patience, that creates community, that's inclusive. Now, exclusivity, pyramid, separation. I was the ultimate person in this uber masculine being. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore, and my body couldn't take it anymore. The white of my eyes started to become yellow. I started to have palpitations, pain in my left arm. I started to become so weak. Really, my body just couldn't take it anymore. And I really prayed, please, God, get me out of here. And it was like this, God got me out of there. And then I went into a gigantic process of what Maureen Murdoch calls the initiation. And she writes ascent, but I will say descent to the goddess. Because you see, now I know, you ascend the pyramid of success of the male. You go up in the ladder, corporate ladder, but for the goddess, you descend. And you see, what is the shape of descent? It's the womb itself. It is the center of the earth. And this descent to the goddess is really descending to what is truly important. So I started taking layers of that was unimportant, like which new shoes I'm going to wear and what superficiality I'm going to have. You know, I started with the simple thing of learning to cook. I didn't know how to cook at 35 years old. I didn't know. Well, I started teaching myself every Friday to start connecting to the earth, to know what's the difference between this vegetable and that vegetable, what's the difference between frying and baking. I started descending in what is actually important. It is so incredible, you know, it's so incredible. I think of my Aztec history. When the Spanish arrived, they wanted the gold, and the Spanish conquistador asked the Aztec king, the Tlatoani, the great Tlatoani, that's how you say king in Nahuatl, give me gold. And of course, they didn't speak the same language, so he didn't understand what gold was. So that yellow thing that you value very much, that yellow thing that you value very much. So the Tlatoani thought, oh, what is that? Corn, of course. So he take him to see all the corn. No, you're stupid. So, you know, that's the masculine and the feminine. The masculine was thinking that gold is so important. The feminine was thinking that corn is so important. So going up, you go and value money that you actually cannot eat. And when you go deep, you value really the things that nourish you, that nourish your soul, the core of your soul. What is that? An intimate relationship. Not just a one-night stand or a friend you go and get drunk with, but really the openness to intimacy. And the openness to intimacy is it's difficult. I'm now 15 years after a magical moment. I met my husband. It was absolutely magical. I'm not going to tell you that story now. I'll leave it for another video. But the first date, we went out for dinner, and we walked out of the restaurant. We crossed the street, and he held my hand. And as he held my hand, I really felt like crossing you know, one of those power circles of Doctor Strange, like I enter into a new portal, you know, to a new timeline of life. That moment, I really started this initiation, this descent into what is divinely feminine, allowing him to be the man in a relationship, walking with him terribly painful things, like the first time that we wanted to be parents, we lost the baby. That is really a descent into the goddess. That is really being at the door of death. That is what makes you a woman. That is what makes you feel alive. This understanding that it's not about sex, of having an orgasm. It's about the possibility of perpetuating humanity, expanding what humanity is life. So as I went deeper and deeper, I was desiring more the feminine, more and more the feminine. After that miscarriage, I thought, my God, is this? Well, I was able to get pregnant, so the possibility is that I could have a baby. And indeed, I was blessed with 2 beautiful pregnancies and deliveries. I gave birth in this very house. I point out to you to the videos of the births of the children, but they were without anesthetics. The first one was in water, and the second one was astonishing because we even didn't have a midwife. My husband caught our daughter as she flew into the world. Astonishing. Perfectly healthy at 40 and 42 years old. That is really the deepest initiation for me was childbirth. And childbirth like this, in a way in which you have what they call contractions, but what hypnobirthing calls surges, like waves. It was really an opening into the real realization of the worth of what is life and life giving. After the birth of my children, I can tell you I saw my mother in a very different way. Because after my children were born, it's not that children are born and that's it. Yeah, you just go back to do what you were doing before. No, your entire identity changes. Your entire life changes. Then I thought, my God, everything that I have learned before, everything, or every single trip I made before, every single book I read before, every single experience I had is for their children. It is for them. So then my life became life creation center. Why? Because my son will become a father one day, my daughter will become a mother one day. So this giving myself to the children, now it's really highly criticized because we women to the power and children can be outsourced and children are a waste of time. I deeply disagree. You must have seen the statistics of how the birth rate is decreasing all around the world. That pains me terribly. So I'm putting my grain of salt so that this is not so. This is not so because I believe in humanity. I have hope in humanity. I have hope in you. You know what was so beautiful of becoming a mother and really making sacred my life, sacrificing my life for my children? Because they are changing my life. Do you realize? I mean, why did I study, so much in university? Why did I read so many books? If I am not going to give it to my children, I want to just give my children to somebody who is not educated as I was or as I am, doesn't love them as I do. My children are not non-profitable activity. Like, oh my God, I have seen that, I have seen that. Women in business tell other women in business, outsource your children because they are a non-profitable activity. That drives me crazy. No. I can tell you that it's the opposite. When you have children, your children motivate you in some way, inspire in some way, that they lift you up. They make you more creative so that you do the few things that makes you more powerful. And so my children helped me to heal that mother-daughter split, to heal my relationship with my mother. And this was absolutely fantastic because I was able to do it before she passed. Once I was able, because, let me don't walk too fast on that subject. healing the mother wound divide, it is fundamental. It is fundamental for your psychology. If you are hating, the bond between mother and daughter is huge. Is for a long time, I could say from conception to teenage time, you are one with your mother. So if your mother was suffering, which is very likely because we have been living in a patriarchal consciousness. So if she is a woman, your mother, so likely your mother was suffering in some way, then you are suffering. And that's why we have many women who have inherited the I'm not good enough, I don't deserve, I'd rather give my price cheaper because they are not going to buy, you know, and the I'm not good enough and I don't deserve represents in many ways, you know. One woman will start a business and sell cheaper than she should be selling. Another one will become the lover because she doesn't deserve to be the wife. Another one will become the wife and never develop her business skills because she doesn't deserve to use her brain. You know, don't deserve can be expressed in so many painful ways. It just so hurts me so much. Oh, I'm so passionate about this subject. I think you can get it. But when you heal this relationship with your mother and you can see that your mother was just part of this social construct, and we can forgive her and see that you suffering not to hurt your mother doesn't help your mother. When you see that, then you are able to say no to that married man who wants to go out to you, no to that customer who wants to pay you less, no to, you know, keep cleaning the house instead of doing your business. When you heal your relationship with your mom, a more powerful version of you emerges, and you're able to set boundaries in a healthy way that will allow you to be a better mother for the next generation. And if you don't have children, you still have to do it because everybody is looking at you. Other children, other generations, your employees, everybody's looking at you. You are an inspiration to the world. What you do matter. If you heal your mother wound, if you reconcile with the feminine, if you are really willing to be soft, willing to rest, willing to receive, because that's the reason why so many women are poor, because they don't receive. Some women receive money because I see that some women are really growing as financially in the corporate world, but they are not willing to receive love from a man. Help from a man. Oh, men are useless. When we are open to receive 100% in all areas of our life, we become more powerful. We become that queen that is centered in her soul, in her womb, who is rooted. You remember what I told you before? Now I cannot do the triangle. Rooted. Because it's a big change, you know? You come from corporate and from the masculine, and how do you do the rooting? It's not a switch. You really have to work at it, and you have to create habits, and you have to have a community that supports you, a community of women, a sisterhood. You cannot do this alone. No woman can do this alone. You have to do it for yourself, but you don't have to do it alone. You need to ask for help, look for help, be inspired. I have many resources to help you. I have Retreat coming up, but if you see this video another time, go and check my website, what is up there at this time. You need to open to other women. This will help you heal your relationship with your mother and recover that identity of of goddess. When you recover that identity of goddess, reclaim it. You can reconcile with the masculine. And what do I mean by that? Reconcile with the masculine is the masculine within. Then you can manage your planning better. That you say, I'm going to do this from this time to this time. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to take action. You see what is really funny? After doing all this work that was very intuitive, meditation, silence retreat, delivering a baby, during all that time, I was not doing weightlifting. Now that I feel more in the feminine, in this sensual and sumptuous, I mean, I even grow plants, you know. Now I started to do weightlifting. Now is when you can add things of the masculine that could help you in elements of your life that could strengthen you. But you know, they are elements of your life because you are the queen. A queen still plans. A queen still does, but in a very different way. It's a matter of outsourcing, delegating. The masculine is something accessory for us when you are really deeply rooted in your own identity. When you are able to integrate the masculine again, you are able to create in a more powerful way. So you're rooted in the feminine, you integrate the masculine, and you know what happens? Abundance. Abundance. An abundance of everything. It's just absolutely crazy. I am 53 years old. When I was going through all this feminine awakening and integrating the masculine, my hair was falling. And I thought, my God, it's really the menopause. I will never recover my hair. I see other women suffering with their hair. It's like a plant dying. The more I integrated the feminine, the more I integrated the masculine, the more I forgave, the more I opened, it started growing and growing and growing. And I could see the little baby hairs. I could see the confirmation of reality that it was happening. The same was happening about everywhere. In my business, in the plants, in the behavior of my children, in my relationship with my husband, in my relationship with my sister, with my friends. Everything started changing because I started honoring my own identity as a feminine woman. And welcoming masculine elements. Don't deny them. Still, you can do Excel. You still can calculate physics or chemistry or whatever it is that is the science or the masculine thing that you do. You still can be an engineer, but very feminine. I'm an engineer. I sincerely hope that this has helped you. My intention with this is that you see that indeed Joseph Campbell was right. Indeed, Joseph Campbell was right. You are the place where everybody wants to go. This is the place where everybody wants to go, when masculine and feminine are fully integrated. But in the current consciousness, we need to go through this journey of separation and reclamation, because that's a reality. Now, you can see it as a bad thing. Oh my God, separation, how horrible. And I have to do all the inner work. Or you can see it in another way. You can see it as the wonderful journey of life. You can see it as the wonderful journey of possibility. I invite you to see it that way. I invite you to see it that way. because life is absolutely beautiful. You are not alone. If you are in that stage in which you are awakening to the fact that having another dress will not help you, working so hard will not help you, that the masculine and the hustle is not helping you, you are invited. You are invited to a retreat if you are in Amsterdam. Come to my website. There are resources constantly. I will put there, I'm creating something brand new and signing to the waiting list. In the waiting list, you will be the people who sign up to the waiting list will be the first ones to be informed to the things that I'm creating, especially for you. If you're going through this process, I want to support you because I have intimate knowledge of what happens. Intimate, painful, and how you can expand and grow your feminine advantage, because indeed it is an advantage to be a woman, because you are the place that everybody wants to go. You spiritually, being feminine is spiritual. It's not a matter of the length of hair or a dress. It's about the stance that you take in life. It's about how magnetic you are. So what do you want to see in your life? More joy, more beauty, more money? If you set in your seat of being that feminine woman, it is easy. I hope sincerely that this has helped you. Many blessings.